I'm getting a ton of questions about food plots. And every year some folks want to jump the gun. I had an email this morning from my pasture ask about doing some planting stuff, and we've got a forecast this weekend. This will air before this gets done, but of a low of 11 degrees and 1 to 3 inches. It's not time to plant food plots yet, unless you're doing some snow seeding, some frost seeding, or your property is very far south. But I noticed in South Florida, the forecast for later this weekend is 40 degrees. So hold off, folks, we're not quite there yet. I'm also getting a ton of questions about using a no-till drill. This has really caught on, and many people are purchasing a drill or getting 2 or 3 buddies and getting a drill and sharing it, or renting it from the local co-op or NRCS office. And it's a vastly superior way to plant food plots and protect the soil, improve the soil. We shared recently that fertilizer costs have almost doubled this year, and if you use the right system, you can reduce the amount of fertilizer needed. Or if you're like me and you've been in a couple years, you don't even need to worry about fertilizer. I haven't used fertilizer in years, and I have great soil tests. Among the best in Missouri, literally soil test results. And that's just because of using the release process. But I want to explain that a little bit more, because guys are saying, hey, do I need to disc before I use my no-till drill? Absolutely not. Disc should only be used for fire breaks or boat anchors. Those are the 2 things that a disc is really good for. And I want to show you why this morning. So I got a bucket with some water in it, and I'm going to pull up some parts of the summer blend. You see the green, the fall blend that's down there. Didn't feed deer, but the summer blend, we just broadcast over or drilled through. And of course, one of the components of the summer blend was milo. And milo has a pretty big root system. Think about corn roots you see sticking up above the ground. And while it was growing, and now those are decomposing, those roots are going to rot right there in place because we're not disking soil and become slow release fertilizer. Roots are pretty nutritious. That tilled the soil perfectly. That aerated the soil. It made channels for water to infiltrate in. I'm simply going to pull a milo up. I've got a big sunflower stalk here. Sunflowers have a different root system. They're smaller in diameter, but go way out. It's a big root system. So by planting blends, you get small pores, medium pores, and large pores all throughout the soil. You can't do that with the disc. It's impossible. And if you notice, when you dig a hole, maybe to bury a post, a fence post or something, you put the fence post in, so you're taking up space of the hole, then you use the dirt that you pulled out of there. There's never enough to fill up the hole. Now you filled up half the hole or more with the fence post, and there's still not enough dirt to go back in there. Why is that? Because when you're shoveling it out or using post hole diggers and taking it out, you crushed all the pore space. Well, that's exactly what you do when you disc. You think you're fluffing it up, but you're just making it where the particles can fit closer together, and you create a hard pan, and you don't allow water to infiltrate in. You've seen this when you drive by fields going down the highway, and it was disc last fall after they harvested crop, and then water ponds. If a disc worked like people thinks it does, that water would have infiltrated in. But rather than infiltrate in, it's called ponding. It just stands on top. I've got a picture somewhere of ponded water in a disc field standing below a pivot irrigation. Now let's think about this. If that ag farmer, production ag farmer, hadn't disced so many years, that water would have infiltrated in, and he could have saved the expense of the pivot irrigation, not only purchasing it, but operating it, all the fuel it takes to operate that. There's a superior way to do it. Broadcast, use hand tools. We'll be showing you that as soon as it warms up, how we do this without a no-till, but that's practical on smaller, like hide-o plots. On bigger plots, a no-till drill is a better tool. So I'm going to stop on that. I'll pull up one of these Milos right in front of me. Most of it's been browsed off, as you can tell. Stopped in front of this little group here, still got a little bit of seed on it, which is good because at 11 degrees, I promise you, you're gonna be out here seeking this grain. Those greens, like you and I eating a salad right before we dig a ditch all day, doesn't really fill us up. We want something with some energy, and deer are gonna be seeking energy. All the acorns are gone, and this standing Milo is perfect for our deer herd.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Lacrosse Footwear, Moultrie Mobile, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, RTP Outdoors, Fourth Arrow, Hunt Stand, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Burris Optics, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
So I'm gonna see if I can get this rascal out here gently without breaking off a lot of root mass. The little fine hairs, the little hairs that are way down deep, they're gonna break off. You may have roots 2, 3, 4 feet deep. Now remember, often soil samples are 0 to 6 inches deep, and that's certainly where a lot of the roots are. But how about all those nutrients way down in the soil profile? Those are not measured in a soil test, so we don't account for those. But I'm gonna see if I can get a stalk out. It's kind of a smaller stalk, maybe to come out okay. And those big root systems make it tough. This is, you can hear the roots ripping off. That's the mulch from the fall crop a year ago. That's been protecting the soil, slowly decomposing, feeding microbes, feeding earthworms, which are all making fertilizer. That's how the system works. And you see some cereal rye or oats or wheat growing on this clump that pulled up here. And that's making a different size root. And a little weed right there. And here in the Ozarks, of course, a rock in there. But and if I turn this over, may have to reposition camera, all kind of little fine roots. An earthworm. Now it's been coat. I got a heavy coat on. I got my stocking hat on, folks. And here's an earthworm active on top of the soil. And let me explain why it is. The untold number of earthworms, microbes, bugs, whatever, here are heating up the soil. These are living organisms and they're respirating. There's millions of them. It's said there's more bacteria in a good teaspoon of high quality soil than people on the planet. There's more living organisms in that than people on the planet. And they're respirating. They're keeping the soil warm. That's why my food plot here, which is healthy, is green, and my yard, which is up there 30 yards, isn't green, because I don't do anything in my yard. It's a monoculture of fescue, and Tracy's actually put nitrogen fertilizer on the yard, but in past years, which kills microbes, kills earthworms. The line between the food plot where I've done nothing but plant good blends and the yard is really telling. So you can see all these little roots. So I'm gonna dip this in water, try to get a lot of soil out so you can see the root mass. You can probably even see from there this big root and these bigger roots. They're tilling the soil. They're doing the tillage. Why do I want to pay tractor time and flat tires on antlers out here and buying it and all that stuff when I can let plants do the work for me? This was the Creator's plan, and it works beautifully. We'll never get better. And up close, I can see wormholes all through here, and I can see dirt. I see dirt sticking to the roots. You pull a plant out of the ground, a lot of places, and the roots are just white. That means there's no microbial life. There's no interchange between the microbes and the root. When I pull this out, and all the dirt, the roots are brown. You probably can't see them too well. That's dirt sticking to them. That's because the microbes are making an interchange between the plant and the soil. That's where the economy is going on. Keith Burns has a great seminar on YouTube called Carbonomics. Just go to YouTube and search on Keith Burns and Carbonomics. I've mentioned that before, but it's a wonderful educational seminar. So when you've got dirt sticking, you've got really healthy soil. Man, it smells good. Smells like a really healthy bag of mulch. I'm gonna knock some dirt off. You can see a few more roots now, and they're all brown. And then I'm gonna swish it here a little bit. All right, so I've been in the bucket a minute or more. I mean, just immersed, just swishing around. More than a big thunderstorm. I mean, there's inches of water in there. And there's such microbial activity in this soil, the dirt's not coming off the roots. It's amazing. That's health. That's the sign of great health. Let me do this some more. The more come off, but there could be zero erosion here. I'm working this. There's no chance rain is going to cause erosion here. And erosion isn't just gullies, in a ditch you got to fix. It's washing nutrients from your field. That's a bad. And it's going to end up in the water system, which is worse. Just Google the hypoxia in the Gulf, or nitrogen in the Gulf of Mexico. It'll shock you if you haven't heard of it. I want you to Google that and realize how many nutrients are running off land and going into our water systems, our drinking water systems, our fishery systems. And for, us deer guys, those nutrients are not staying in place and growing bigger antlers. Antlers are about nutrients. Man, I am more impressed than I thought I'd be. You're seeing more of the roots now. We're getting close up. And they're all just dirt covered, even though I'm swishing it. Even the little cereal grain here, roots are brown because the microbes interacting. This will probably throw you for a loop. There are microbes in healthy soil that will supply nitrogen to cereal grains, not just legumes, cereal grains, or grasses like corn. And I was never taught anything like that in college. This is recent, fabulous work. And this is an example where really smart farmers and just a couple of researchers are a decade or two ahead of most universities. And I'll get hate mail over that, but I mean, there's farmers out there just making a killing because they don't have to pay for all those expensive inputs to grow a crop. Why don't you do the same in your food plot? So let me try this one more time. I don't know if this is showing, if you can see through there. You're getting an idea of how the soil was tilled. I mean, a disc, and I broke a lot of roots, I'll pull it out, but a disc rarely reaches deeper than that, maybe an inch, maybe not. I'm tilling it without any chance of water erosion, wind erosion, saving that diesel fuel, tires wear and tear, and providing food for deer. Another clearly evident from this view is I never cleaned the table. I have winter greens growing, fed the deer herd all winter, and I had my grains. I never cleaned the table. There was something to eat every day. I didn't disc it, leave it bare for 3 weeks, then wait a couple weeks for plants to germinate. And at that time, the deer go, well, this guy don't love me. He cleaned the table. I'm gonna go to my neighbor over here, Fred's, and I'm gonna eat over there. You don't want deer leaving. I mean, let's tell the truth. We're all kind of selfish about our deer. They're not our deer, but we provide for them. We'd like to benefit and put some of that protein in our freezer to feed our family and friends. You do all this work. I see clovers coming on, all the small grains. Of course, again, sunflowers that not only fed deer, but man, the finches out here, my wife and my daughters love seeing all those yellow finches. I mean, man, it was finch heaven out here, thousands and thousands of them. And in the winter, the cardinals and all the birds eating on the milo grain. But the subject today, I digress, is why till when the roots are tilling for you. And when you have a blend planted of 8-10 different species, grasses, legumes, brassicas, and forbs. A good quality blend would include grasses in the summer, milo, corn, sorghums, whatever, forbs, buckwheat, stuff like that, legumes, clovers, alfalfas, soybeans, things like that are legumes. And then, of course, collards in summer, rapes, turnips, whatever in the fall. Get all those families represented, and those work together to improve the soil's health faster. Why till when what you planted is doing the work for you? I'm getting a lot of questions about food plots. If you like this, let us know. Give us a like, leave a comment. If you really like it, share it with your buddies. this is just makes all the sense in the world. All the sense in the world. And I'm going to get some emails. Well, Grant, I don't have a no-till drill. Hey, look, it's not time yet to be planting hand tools. We got snow and 11 degrees in the forecast. But as soon as we can, as early as we can, we'll show you how we use hand tools in our smaller size plots to achieve very similar results. And I promise you, we're going to do a lot this spring on using hand tools. But today is about the principles of either system, hand tools or no-till drill. And the principle today is never disc, because the roots are loosening the soil for you. Understanding the Creator's plan to improve the soil, provide all the nutrients plants need, is just really interesting to me and better for the planet. Less pollution, less money spent. Most fertilizers are made from natural gas or petroleum products. You're spreading petroleum products on your land. Of course you're killing earthworms. But even more important than understanding how creation was designed to work is to understand the Creator's plan for your life and His will for your life. And I hope you seek that and live it every day. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.